Pity the fool, I'm fooling ones with my intelligence. What's the policy of the mind, body, soul? Overcome with the oblivion. And my words play like an anthem, and the truth will expose the intuition of the soul. Deep dark thoughts you will never know. I scogitate the intentions of the minority, then I meditate.
Hey you guys, welcome back to Talk Social. My name is Jonah Ruffin.
I'm Zayla Bryant.
I'm Zaya Brown.
I'm Sanai Edwards.
And I'm Jayla Jackson.
How are y'all feeling today?
I'm ready to get into it.
Yes, I am pumped. Woo, child.
So, what are we talking about today?
So today, you guys, we are getting into a conversation that's a long one. It's an old one, but it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be talking about sexism with our subtopic of chivalry. And y'all know us. We get into the origins, the definitions, the nuances.
Right.
We do all of that.
Yes. I hope y'all are ready because this is about to get very, very steamy. So, let's talk about it.
Lord. All right, so let's start with some definitions. Can somebody tell me the definition of sexism for the audience?
From what I think, my understanding is discrimination against a gender. Mostly seen in 2021 against women.
Okay. And somebody can tell me what chivalry is?
So chivalry this is a long definition, but it's necessary. So chivalry is based off of knightship. It comes from the 15th century, if I'm correct, meaning that when you were deemed a knight, there were certain things that you have to possess, like generosity, bravery, and things like that, which once westernized and spread across the world, it changed into the common courtesy we see males do a lot, typically for females. So that's the holding the door open for women, you know, giving her flowers, you know, things like that we deem as chivalrous.
Okay, so the reason why I chose this topic for today is because I know in today's age there's a lot of controversy around gender roles, firstly. And since chivalry is kind of based in knightmanship, which is kind of a role within itself based on primarily off men. And we're in the age of, you know, feminism and then genders being more fluid than it was before. I'm seeing controversy between what it means to be chivalrous versus actions of sexism. So how do you perceive sexism today?
I think that sexism, we must note that it's purely based in discrimination, right? So this is you being wronged simply off the base of your gender. So when we see things such as pension, when we see things such as lack of female presence in, you know, jobs that they definitely are qualified for, things like that, you know, the pure discrimination is based off of you being a woman. Now that is an issue for me. But that does translate into microaggressions, right? So the way in which, you know, a male might interact with you can also show forms of sexism, in my opinion. Now, if my thing with chivalry, I can understand how the two can, you know, clash, right? Because it's that, you know, are you only treating me this way because I'm a woman?
Right.
Or would you do this for everybody else? Why can't this just be common courtesy?
Right, and I think that with chivalry, it like creates this mindset of men, because once they start doing things for women repeatedly, it's like, now I can do everything for them, like, because I have more power than them, because I do the little things for them, so of course I can do the big things for them. You get what I'm saying?
So what does that power look like, Jonah?
Oh, whoa. Whoa there, buddy. But I think that power can come in so many different ways, and I think that it depends on the particular person, but I think that some common examples that we see in today's society is kind of like, for instance, like a male, like, not giving women enough credit for the things that they do because, you know, they are a woman, or putting them down because they aren't qualified just because they are a woman.
You know, I'll pass it to you. But I was thinking that when it comes to this conversation, the thing about being chivalrous versus sexist, when it comes to being chivalrous, I think that because it was rooted in the knightmanship, like you said, it's kind of more so a responsibility than it is a courtesy. So when the genders start to switch in the new age of, you know, women being able to do more for themselves, it's less so comes out of a responsibility, but now it's purely based off courtesy. It's kind of, I'm not responsible for doing this anymore, but I'm doing this because I respect you and I value you, rather than because I'm fulfilling my job.
And I feel like, do y'all think that some men think,
I'm
sorry, okay.
Going off of the responsibility thing and then going off of what Jonah was saying, and I'll pass it on to you, something to connect it to our audience, and Never Have I Ever, the new season.
Great show.
Kamala was forced to wash the test tubes and the beakers while the men were doing the work, and they were finding lab. And actually, Kamala was the one who found and discovered the research, which led them to a great discovery or whatever. And on the research paper, when they submitted it, Kamala's name wasn't submitted, and she was trying to fight really hard for it to be put on the thing, and she actually got fired, or she had to quit the job because her name wasn't getting put on. I think that goes through the responsibility aspect. I think some men think the responsibility of a woman is to wash the dishes or stay in the kitchen or make me a sandwich as a but.
Where do you think this goes to? What's the origin of
pause. Side note, I'm sorry for anybody that wanted to watch that show because she really just spoiled it for y'all. But anyways, back to that.
Okay.
So sorry.
Y'all should have watched it by now.
Like, answer the question though. Where do you think that comes from? This responsibility. Where do these roles get these responsibilities?
Where's the origin, babe?
Maybe the pastor's kid should.
Religion.
The preacher's daughter.
I think the origin really stems from religion. I can see it both
Gender
with
roles?
gender roles, sexism, the whole sphere, the whole nine.
Yeah. Okay. And kind of to add to that, I want us to take us back to the archaic mindset of gender and sex being in unison back then. So
Right.
it wasn't a man and male; it was man and woman, and then you just knew what that was. So on top of the responsibilities that are being assigned to the sexes, you're also being assigned what your role is, and I feel like your level of authority is also assigned to that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have to look at, if we're gonna go back, right? We need to look at power structures now, right?
Okay.
When we're in today's society, things are different, right? When civilizations began to form, now we have forms of government and we have forms of governance, right?
But
hold on, things are changing, right? But if we go back to hunter-gatherer societies, when it was less a system of, what am I saying, control over man, right? And follow me here. If naturally, right, based on our DNA, most men are more equipped to do hunting, that is what happened. And if naturally a female is carrying the child and has the body structure to now feed the child, what is she now doing?
Right.
Taking care of the children.
Right.
Right? If you're already at home taking care of the children, what are you now doing when the hunter comes home with the food that he just spent all day getting?
My question
You're now cooking it. So I just needed us to realize that, yes, right, before we get into how it has translated into the power structures that we know today, it came from a place of necessity based off of what you are more equipped to do naturally.
You
Go ahead.
something to say?
Yeah, I had a question on that. I just wanted to look at the concepts here because going back to the story that you just implied, and then looking at today. So we do see that women are more inclined than just being housewives, tending to the babies, cooking the meals for everyone. So we see that, right? Just a question, yes or no question. We see it. Okay. So
define women are more inclined.
More inclined to hold more seats in power in terms of a hardworking person, a CEO, or
quit.
Yeah, ask the question again.
Forgot the question.
I get what she's saying. She's saying, like, in today's society, you see women breaking those standards that were built in the Bible. You see them in more CEO positions. You see them more higher up wherever it was like said that they need to be cooking or just cleaning.
They're taking on the male responsibilities more so now.
So do you still think that is naturally?
You see them in more places of power.
Let me change that. They're in the leadership roles of power as opposed to the second that we were mentioning before.
So what the question is that in today's society, you see women veering away from that original gender role.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I just want us to take a dive into the religion aspect. Okay? So I feel like, we were having a very deep conversation before we started this podcast about like the roles that women and men have, specifically when it comes to relationships. So to go back to the conversation with this whole sexism and the whole nine. So we asked the question, is men, going back to your point, are men naturally inclined to be the person is superior in terms of relationship?
Does like using Jayla's example, being the hunter, does being the hunter mean that they're more superior?
I mean, it's a form of power, isn't it not? I
But
mean,
does not taking care of the children, feeding the children, carrying a baby for 9 months, pushing it out.
we're not saying that.
Does that not
I have a
equal power?
question. Is that example that you applied, was that before or after the institution of religion?
Dude, can I say something? Like, I feel like there's always this, like, time thing with, like, the Bible and things like that. But the Bible's supposed to be timeless. So, like, I don't understand when people are like, oh, the Bible in this is different than when it is in this. Because it's supposed to last forever.
Right.
Like, so if whoever, when the Bible was made, it was set for it to work in today's society.
Which it is.
But, I mean, the reason that I brought that up is because everybody does not subscribe to the timeline provided in the Christian text, right? So if we are just dealing with a pure historian-based mindset, when you're in world narratives classes and things like that, that is what they teach. That gender roles are originating from hunter-gatherer societies. Now, if we're going to now in this conversation adapt, gender roles based off of the Christian text, that changes things. So that's what we're doing.
It's not just the Christian text, because you see it in the Quran. You see like religion actually takes a hold of nations when it comes to gender.
Well, I can't really speak on any other text because I'm not as well versed.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, religion takes a big stance in society. Period.
So if we're going to apply this conversation with religious text, now we can shift the view into which we watch it, into which we talk about it now. So go ahead.
Okay, no, you can continue.
So if we're dealing with gender roles based off of religious text, right? Do you want to finish what you were saying before I?
No, go ahead, continue.
Oh, okay. Based off
listening.
of religious text, I am. Well, I don't necessarily consider myself a Christian, but I'm very studied in Christian-based theology, right? And what the Bible instructs is that the man is the head of the household, and the woman comes second, right? Based off of the origin story or the creation story in the Bible, the male was created first and left with the responsibilities. He was given God's law. This is Adam. Given God's law, given the responsibility. Then Eve was then created from his rib second, and she had a different set of responsibilities. I wanted to point out something that Sinai said, right? She said that does him necessarily being a hunter make him more superior, right? The responsibilities of the gatherer is different than responsibilities of the hunter. So if we were to take the hunter and put him in the world of the woman, right? He would be less superior because he's not as good at it. Right. But if we were to take the woman and put her in the world of the hunter, not saying that she couldn't be good at it, but in that instance, she would be less good at it. So now superior is, in my opinion, being defined as your ability to do the role.
Right. And I think that I'm kind of like starting to understand your point a little bit more because I was thinking over here and like I feel like none of that even like they weren't even thinking about like superiority or like things of that nature when they made the like basis of. They were just saying the man is gonna go out and hunt and the woman's gonna take care of the children and eat and cook and things of that nature. I don't think that it really had anything to do with power.
No, because that's in the form of that the whatever she was talking about. We're talking about what I'm going now to is the Bible. The Bible does not say that. The Bible says that a woman needs to submit to their husband. A woman needs to be quiet. A woman is belittled. So you're telling me that?
Oh, I was just referring to the hunter-gatherer part.
Well, now
I'm not talking about the Bible, baby. I don't agree with that.
I'm talking about the religion context.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll pass it to you tonight.
Oh no, I was just saying.
But I was just trying to say that we're talking about how the Bible came to be and like these roles and such. I think I'm not so sure that it was created without the idea of patriarchy.
We don't know. We didn't create the Bible.
But we know who did. I know you know.
Okay, so what's the assumption here? The assumption here now is that based off of what the Bible is saying, it's based in patriarchy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you, for our audience, provide a definition of patriarchy and then explain how they relate?
Patriarchy is basically just like a society that is ruled based off of male dominance. So if it's just like the male automatically has some sense of authority over woman by the fact that he is male.
Right.
So, wait. Let me be clear though. Male or man? Gender or sex? Am I talking about with patriarchy?
Is that your question? Is that a question? I thought you were just making sure.
We're going off of sex-based.
Yeah, sex-based.
Sex. So it's based off of sex.
Yes.
But that was my idea.
So how does now patriarchy relate into the order or the hierarchy provided in the Bible?
How does patriarchy relate to the hierarchy in the Bible?
Yes.
Because back in the day, like I said, the gender and the sex were not.
They were not. Yeah.
There were no distinctions.
There was no distinction. Right. So if you were a man, you automatically had that patriarchal importance because of the fact that it is a patriarchal doctrine. But my problem with that is that in today's society, when we're trying to apply that Bible to this day and age, you start to see a lot of people either contradict or you start to see a lot of people trying to veer away from it because it doesn't subscribe to the things that we have evolved into.
Yeah.
Like feminism, I think feminism. Hold on, correct me if I'm wrong. Can you tell me the definition of feminism before I misspeak?
Feminism?
Yes.
I think it's a lot of debate about what feminism is.
Yeah.
But I think that the consensus is that feminism is creating, well, A, fighting against discrimination based off of sex, and then B, creating pride and, what's the word? Fighting for, not basically equality between sexes, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So with this evolution, like we said before, patriarchy kind of made women second to man.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to today's day and age, with this feminism movement, women aren't trying to be here anymore. They're trying to be here. They're
Right.
trying to even out the playing field. But that messes with the roles that they have in place, because I believe that when it comes to the roles that were described in the Bible, there were certain things that a man could do that a woman couldn't,
Exactly.
as prescribed in their roles. But now that the roles are starting to shift, or the importance of women is trying to shift, the roles are trying to shift as well.
And then the question then becomes, would feminism even exist if this patriarchy didn't?
I just want to deal with the language here, right? You
Okay.
said there were things that men can do that women can't do, right?
Yes.
I have issue with that, right? There were things that men were left with the responsibility of that women were not left with the responsibility of. That does not necessarily mean that a woman can't do it. Right. Yeah, okay. Because I want to, because I feel like that's a huge misconception that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
That, we or a woman can't, or just stay away from, it's a sin if you do it.
Right.
If it was for a man. No, there are responsibilities, same as we are a partnership, right? We each have our own responsibilities.
Right.
There are responsibilities that Jonah have that I don't have because it's not my role, right? So I'm just trying to get into the origins of where this superiority, because that's a word that we keep throwing around. Where did that come from? Because the issue that we're attacking here is that there's this idea that by the woman being inherently second, that makes her, that makes that submissive is now a bad thing, and that superiority is becoming an issue.
How are you defining submissive?
For me, submission is, let's put it out there, is not inherently harmful, in my opinion. And B, submission is basically you are accepting and falling under the leadership of someone else.
Sub means below, by the way.
So then my question
That's what I'm
is,
saying.
Okay.
Would it being like okay? So would it like saying that a woman is being submissive to a man make her less powerful, because following under the leadership of another person is giving you less power than the leader? Would you not agree? Do leaders have more power than the people that are following them?
When you say make her less powerful, I feel like
We're on the same accord. Yeah.
like,
Are you
she
okay?
has the same amount of power. She could still have the same amount of power, but she just.
So are you?
What Sanaya's
talking
attacking is the
No.
difference between being less powerful and having a different position.
Okay. So is your problem is with the capability versus the ability?
My problem is with the assumption that control is equal to power. That's my thing. So how
Control is equal
are
to
y'all
power.
defining power? Because when I hear that someone is powerful, we're now dealing with their ability to produce, in my opinion. We are powerful people because of that's a little spiritual, but because of what we do, how we do it, and the time and efficiency in which we do it in,
Right.
which makes us powerful, in my opinion. So when you say, her being second makes her less powerful, I have an issue with that, because I don't think that her having a different role or different position than a man takes away her worth or her ability to be powerful. I just think that now she has a different position.
When I think of power, I'm thinking of influence, especially in
You're talking about control, right?
especially in the institutions of like today's day and age, especially within the institution of marriage, within the institution of government. It's like you get more power based off of your sphere of influence as well. I think that the amount of power that you have as a mayor versus your amount of power as a president is way different.
Right.
And then the responsibilities are different too.
Yeah.
And I think that because of that, there is an inherently there's less power because there's less influence.
But I think we need
Hold on. I want to hear what she's thinking, because I see her.
Yeah, she's
Okay, in my
Before I
opinion,
respond.
power is. You keep saying they have more power, but you said influence. Like, what you talking about?
I'm talking about influence. I'm
But
saying
they aren't.
that's influence.
Okay,
She's
so
saying that power is
influence.
influence.
You're saying power is influence.
Yes.
I think, hold on, because let's go back to what she just said, right? With that that hierarchy, quote unquote, that you gave, right? A governor has more power. If we're saying that power is control, or power dealing with power as far as control in this conversation, right?
Yes.
That means that they have more control than they do, right? Because that means that they have more control than they do dealing with the amount of, or dealing with their responsibilities being different, right?
Okay.
The only thing that separates them now is that idea, or the only thing that separates them now is that they have differences in responsibilities, which yield more control. But I'm trying to figure out, why do we inherently assert that this person is less than, or this person now should be considered less than because they have different responsibilities or a different level of control?
To go back to this idea,
where does value be equated to position?
I wanted to go back to this idea of religion, and that's how we got here. And I wanted to say the specific, verses that many people do know, and I know that it's taught in certain churches, especially if you go to a very old Baptist church. Your grandma take you early in the morning. This is what they teaching, okay? So it's like Timothy chapter 2 verse 12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. Colossians chapter 3 verse 18 says, wives, submit to your husband as it is fitting in the Lord. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22 to I believe 24 says, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. His body in himself is Savior. Now, as the church submit to Christ, so also wives should submit to everything to their husband.
That is
so
sexism.
Please, because I'm listening now.
Sorry.
So this idea is going back to this whole, women don't have as much power or not access. It's sexism, and it's literally instilled in the religions that is in the most powerful religion in the world, which is Christianity, and we have seen it in the multiple institutions. Going back to my question, would feminism even exist if this was in the Bible?
Okay, hold on. Let's come on.
That's a question, because in feminism we're fighting for.
Let's go based off of the definition, right? So y'all are saying it's sexism.
We're fighting for discrimination,
right?
in feminism.
Let's remind our audience what sexism is. Sexism is discrimination based off of
women,
your sex, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Discrimination. Let's define discrimination, right? In my opinion, discrimination is you being wrong based off of prejudice.
Yes.
Right. So I'm looking for
wait.
No.
discrimination.
No, go back before that. Before we went to discrimination, you said sexism is.
You said sexism is discrimination based upon sex.
We
That
agree
can
in the census.
Okay, sure.
That's what we said in the beginning. Has it changed? Has it changed?
No.
No.
Okay.
I just feel like I feel like they would have put us in a plot hole. I'm like, I don't know.
Hold on, let me check my warrants.
Discrimination based upon sex, and discrimination is now you receiving hate or bashing or anything like that, based off of prejudice, right?
So ask the question.
So I'm now looking at any of those verses to where, can you explain to me in what instance do you feel like the woman has now been wronged? And let me explain why. Because as I said, if I'm a person, my definition of submission isn't inherently harmful, right? For me, submitting is not a bad thing, right? Also, moving on, right? And looking at those texts, it seems like a lot of issue is coming to, the woman always has to be under control of her man, right? I think we should also realize they did not say man, they said husband, right? When you marry somebody, or this is basically in what the Bible is saying, the same text that we have referenced before. When you marry somebody, you are choosing that person. Y'all have became one. You are choosing that person because you accept, as a woman, that I want to be under the leadership of this man because I trust and I love this man.
Pause. Let me respond to that part.
So I'm trying to figure out, if you are marrying somebody and that is your husband, why being under his leadership has now just become an issue.
Okay, I will respond to the first thing. The Bible also then says marriage is a partnership. And then we can go back to Corinthians and what love is. Second, I can give a real life example on how in marriages women are, a real life example on how men are, inferior to a woman. I know someone, their dad was very, I'm not going to use the typical words, but their wife had big dreams and they had their own dreams. And however, the man continuously beats their wife because they wouldn't even let them do it.
Right.
So you're telling me,
Right.
based off of this,
I'm about to go. I got you. Hold up.
based off
Can I go next? Can I go next?
but like that's a real life example of how marriage is intertwined with this phenomenon that is instilled in the Bible that a wife must submit to their husband.
Right.
Period. Point blank.
And to add on to that, say that the husband in the relationship is abusive. He is wronging the wife that's in the relationship, and you're saying that you should submit to that.
You should have packed your bags.
But hold on. Because you
That's what you're
also have to find the scripture in the Bible that also says the basis for a woman to leave her situation. God has
Which
never.
one? 'Cause I don't remember.
You can look it up. God has never said that women just have to now sit in a situation where they're being harmed or wronged. The only thing that was presented in the scriptures that she read was.
But to respond to your point,
hold on.
Okay,
You
go ahead,
said an example of that. You gave two examples. Your first one was that they say that marriage is a partnership, which it is. Can anything be purely equal?
I mean, I've seen marriages where it has worked when it's equal,
But
and I've seen most marriages when it's not. But then I can provide another
in
one
the
if I
world
need
be
to.
purely equal?
But does it have to be the man that is superior?
But hold on, that's not my question. Can anything be
No,
purely
I don't
equal?
believe that it
No,
can be purely
right?
equal. But my
Nothing can
question
be.
is
Hold
why?
on, I'm getting into that next. Can it? We agree. I gotta walk them through. We agree that nothing can be purely equal, right? That means that somebody has to come ahead, whether we like it or not. That's it. Now your question is, why does it have to be the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me. I didn't create the law. I didn't write the law, right? But if I'm marrying my husband, right? I'm now in a marriage. All those scriptures that you talked about are referencing marriage. We need to keep that in mind.
True.
I'm marrying somebody that I trust. I'm marrying somebody that I love. I am 100% okay with being under the leadership of my husband. But what the Bible also says is that if the one that you marry or your husband is not acting the way that he should in the role that he has been provided, right, with his responsibilities, the woman has full rights.
Can you show me that scripture? Like,
Yeah, I
was
can.
gonna
Because
I didn't know we were going
Because I'm thinking
whip out
about
scriptures,
Timothy
but I would have brought it
chapter
out.
2, verse 12, when they're talking about literally how women are supposed to be silenced. It says, "But I suffer not a woman to teach nor to assert authority over the man, but to be in silence."
So,
Right, but hold on.
And that's
You
not
gotta check
talking
it
about
out.
neither.
But to be in
husband
silence.
Hold
nor
on,
Deal
wife.
with that,
check
babe.
it out though. Check it out though, right? What have I always told y'all? When you're reading text, right? This is just pure literature, right? When you are reading text that date previous, like these are ancient texts that we're dealing with. The way in which they write and talk is completely different. Even though that's what is that, King James?
That's King James, yeah.
Right? Even though that it's still a translation, we still have to alter the way in which we read it, right? So if in the sentence, read it one more time. Read it one more time.
I'm pull it up.
Okay,
Y'all know I'm a
but
preacher
I-
kid, but I gotta get it right.
No,
I'm a
because
preacher
people
kid.
love to throw out scriptures,
But
love to throw
then
out
I would like
certain
to respond to that.
when
I would
A,
like to
the way
respond
in
to
which
that.
you're reading it is faulty, and B, you don't read
But
the
how
whole
do we
thing.
know?
Hold on,
so you have no
pause,
context.
because I'm about to
But
respond to that.
also-
Let me first
we
answer
read
your
it.
question. Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. "But I suffer not a woman to teach nor to assert authority over the man, but to be in silence." 2.
But I suffer
Over
not.
the
What does
man,
that
not
mean?
the husband.
Hold on, but I suffer not.
Over
hold on.
the man.
I was about to answer to a whole another question.
But hold on,
Dude,
but hold
no,
on.
she said every scripture that
But
she read
Jonah,
was
but Jonah,
referencing husband.
But Jonah,
and
do you
marriage,
know
but
if
that
in
said
that?
man.
Do you
But
know?
not
But the
husband.
Bible
listen.
is broken up into chapters with subpoints.
But listen.
So the subpoint can easily say men and women in marriage.
Okay,
right?
okay,
So you'll be
okay.
saying, But over a man.
To go
But if you're
over
dealing
the
in a
man.
subsection dealing with marriage,
But-
obviously
Wait,
you're talking
wait,
Is
about
that a
Pause.
subsection that's dealing with
Pause.
marriage?
Timothy's
But
the
you
whole
see-
book.
but you see what I'm
excuse
saying.
me. Pardon me. Okay, because we got to run out of time. We cannot forget that the Bible is one of the most powerful books.
Okay.
Period. And we cannot say, okay, sure, it's perception, but the way it was perceived has caused many disruptions in society. We wouldn't be fighting for feminism if it wasn't for scriptures like this. We wouldn't be fighting for.
It goes back to
But
intention versus.
But hold on,
Is
but
that
hold
the
on.
Bible- But is that the Bible's fault, or is that humans' interpretation?
Oh,
But
I'm
wait,
saying
wait.
it's still a perception. You
But
go
hold
ahead
on,
and
but
answer
we
that.
can't discount and forget about the tons of marriages that are successful based off of this text.
And we can't
Hold
discount.
on, hold on.
You can't forget about the tons of
But
marriages
I'm
that are
saying,
not successful
we
based
give
off of that.
a lot of energy to what has the wrong that has been created. I will never burn a text that has created, because there's a good and bad side to everything. I'm not gonna throw out and slander the Bible. Yes, it has created some wrong. everything creates wrong and everything creates good. But my thing is, if we constantly shine the light on the marriages that have gone wrong based off of the interpretation of that scripture, and we never give enough time or justice to the marriages that have gone right based off of that is injustice to the Bible, in my opinion.
The way that because what you're saying is purely based off of interpretation as well. So why is your interpretation better than ours?
I'm not, but that's the thing. I never said mine was better than ours. I'm saying that mine was better than yours. I'm saying that interpretation gets a lot more screen time.
I disagree. I do not agree with that at all. I feel like no. I don't think that the negative side of the Bible gets more screen time than the positive side.
I'm saying in 2021, that's what seems to happen. When I talk to people about what turns you off from religion, what pushes you away, we throw out scriptures like this, lacking context.
I can also tell the good things about.
But the context is also interpretation. So I'm like, I don't get what you're...
I'm not putting in my interpretation over anybody else's.
I understand, but the way that people interpret, you're saying that one way is inherently wrong. The way that we're interpreting it, you're saying...
That is not what I'm saying.
Wait. We might gotta have a part two.
Hold on. Okay, let me wrap it up.
We're gonna have a live.
Because this is the real thing. I'm gonna wrap it up. At the end of the day, what was presented to the table was a claim. The Bible is sexist, right? Y'all took the affirmative, I took the negative. There's two sides to everything. I did not say that my opinion was better than yours or your opinion was better than mine. I'm saying that there's two sides that we needed to acknowledge in this conversation. That is what it was purely.
And we also talked about sexism versus chivalry.
Yeah.
But
that was the main topic. But
yes.
As
you can see,
that was a lie.
Everything is always everything over here, child. it's always gonna get talked about.
We'll definitely have a part two.
Yes.
We didn't
a live video.
We're gonna have to have a live with this.
Or something.
We're gonna have to have a live.
Hey, make sure you tune in to the next episode next Wednesday. Because one thing about us, we gonna talk about it.
Look, think back to times I never had much to give, though I was in the center of appreciation from people that I had thought would never pay me no mind, but though it's different this time, your eyes go blind, and now you in the spot that you've been trying to find. I never imagined happiness in my position, bro.